of Parliament to further explain to him, but also for him to make his case before the caucus meets again. And so the committees of Parliament of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Committee on National Economy, Committee on Agriculture, we met the president, and the president listened. Especially that meeting was tackling two agencies, Direct Development Authority and the Coffee Development Authority. And so the discussions went on until late, and the president listened. Many members of Parliament expressed fears, especially about UCDA, because of its strategic role in our economy, handling the #1 strategic export for this country, which is coffee. And so there are fears that were expressed by members of Parliament in those committees that the coffee sector being taken to the ministry with all the challenges that the ministry has would likely undermine the successes that have been registered in our coffee, especially the production, the quality control, and export numbers. Some of the fears are not far-fetched because the members of Parliament explained to the president that the ministry has its own challenges. And we thought that UCDA, since they took on their role, they've been able to meet the international standards requirements. They've been able to sensitize farmers on issues of quality to the extent that we have seen our exports of coffee grow. And so no one is comfortable with fixing what is not broken, especially given that we have seen what the other exports are going through, like the tea sector, the milk, of course. And so the members gave examples of the inefficiencies, the non-responsiveness, and questioned the ability of the ministry to actually take on that role immediately without impacting on the sector. And the president, we agreed mutually. He agreed that we agreed to the principle of the merger, but give it a period of 3 years so that the ministry gets ready. There was the other proposals on the table was to create some kind of food, crop and animal administration along the lines of like the Food and Drug Administration in the US or in Britain, to be able to merge and have one agency to control, some of these sectors. So in principle, that was the agreement of the committees, and of course, when the caucus convened, the caucus agreed with that position. So we shall have the bill, and the bill will indicate the effective date. I mean, it will be subject to government being ready. So the members of Parliament are not against the merger per se. There are benefits accruing out of merger, eliminating the structural ambiguities, the functional duplication and overlap, etc. We've seen this, and given what the economic situation, the fiscal stress we are having, we need a lean and efficient government. That one is not debatable. And so there are justifications to merge commissions, councils, some agencies. And as members of Parliament, as NRM, we are in principle in agreement. However, there are agencies which have been able to shine. Like UCDA was mentioned, NITAU was mentioned, and I think these are the major 3 agencies within Parliament where almost there is consensus among members that, look, we have seen the performance of these agencies, their performance culture, their responsiveness. There might be issues about whether some of them are fulfilling their envisaged original mandate, which is something that then the responsible ministries would have to act the boards. But taking them to ministries where we have had some of the challenges directly, looking at the NDP 3 performance results, looking at some of the loans that some of the ministries have taken on and they are not performing, looking at the ministerial policy statements that come to Parliament. There are reservations within Parliament that, well, while we support, there are some agencies which should have been merged a long time. But then we must be very, very clear not to destroy our own success stories that are still showing results. And so that's where there is a debate. And I'm very happy that the President listened to the members of Parliament, and was able to take notes, because members were very clear to say, look, there is ABCD in the ministries. And at some point he asked us, so should we do away with the ministry? Should we merge it? And the members said, you need to fix it, because you are the one who appoints the people in the ministries. If they are not performing, fix it. So I'm sure that having reflected and responded positively, there will be perhaps other expectations from us in terms of realigning government to make sure that even those which are going to be merged, there is efficiency in government.
You said lean, efficient, and you're talking about commissions, agencies, and departments. Is that it? Is that the only place that we can get lean and efficient?
Of course, if we are, I mean, if you widen the scope of discussion, and this is what we've been saying, there are very many other areas which we think could be rationalized, including Parliament. There has been debate about the size of Parliament. Now we are creating, perhaps there are people who are advocating for more units. So how big should Parliament be? How big should be our administrative structure? So that's a debate for another day.
Okay.
But for purposes of these agencies, we think that, yes, there can be savings, but the most important thing is efficiency. If we merge, for example, you look at the councils. We have, I think, a youth council, children's council, women's council for elderly. All these are councils related to the special interest groups. So why not put them together and you have one council? So there are those which should be the service commissions. But the major fear is those going into ministries.
Okay.
Looking at the current performance of some ministries.
Thank you very much. Let me get to Dr. Fred Muhumuza. Doctor, you have had the resolutions that came out of this NRM caucus.